This is the Wide Format Impressions broadcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Wide Format Impressions broadcast. I'm Gabby Hauk, Associate Content Editor, and your host for today's episode. If you didn't already know, last year, Printing United Alliance formed a partnership with the Advertising Specialty Institute, also known as ASI. And since partnering with ASI, the two entities have been working together to better merge the worlds of print and promo. Today, I have Christopher Ruvo and Brendan Menapace joining me to chat about the promotional product opportunity for wide format print service providers. Chris, Brendan, thank you for joining me today. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
Chris, you can lead us off.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Chris Ruvo. I'm executive editor of news and content strategy with ASI Media, and that encompasses our Counselor print magazine, print and promo marketing magazine, and asicentral.com/news, where you can learn all about the promotional products world.
Great. And I am Brendan Menapace. I'm the content director for the print and promo marketing brand at ASI. And we came over to the ASI team over in May. And since then, we've been complementing the promo news with a lot of print focused news.
Amazing. And guys, in your opinion, why do you think print service providers, specifically those maybe even in the wide format market, should consider expanding into the promotional product market?
Brandon, you want me to take first go, or do you want to?
Yeah, you just wrote a pretty comprehensive, so you can lead this one off too.
All right, sure. I'll start there. I think most basically is what every business person wants. It's potential to make more money. It's a 26 point, I forget exactly, $26.6 billion market now, according to ASI research. There's a lot of money to be made there. And while it's not necessarily simple, easy to add promo to your business, I think it's less complicated and easier than a lot of print pros might realize to get started selling promotion products. As just a quick, for instance, you don't need an equipment investment if you don't want to make it, and you could still get started selling promotional products. I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but that's just a little teaser.
I think you nailed it, plain and simple. It's an opportunity to make more money. And especially because so many wide format prints are installments where there's a lot of people obviously there to look at the prints. There's a real opportunity to add something that they take with them or they give out at the event. So it complements each other really nicely.
Of course. You mentioned that if you want to get into this market, it isn't even necessarily that expensive. You don't have to go down an equipment route. What can print service providers do if they don't want to, make a heavy upfront investment in equipment?
Yeah, so I think most basically it requires just a little understanding of how the promo product supply chain works. And it's not super dense. Basically, you have suppliers who you as a print or promo distributor, you can source literally tens of thousands of products from reputable suppliers who will decorate those products for you and ship them to your end client. So you don't need to do that product manufacturing or that product decoration in-house. Once you get networked in with these suppliers, great way to do that is to join an organization, say like ASI, where we have thousands of suppliers as members, and you can, and they're rated in our system. You could see who's good, who maybe needs some improvement, et cetera, things like that. But you start building that network of suppliers, and you could literally start buying products from them right away and selling them to your clients. The way that a lot of, we call them distributors, would build that supplier network is, as I say, joining an organization like an ASI, also going to trade shows and meeting with suppliers at the shows to understand like the gamut of promo products that are out there, and then who sells what, and you start building from there.
Yeah. And one of the conversations that I've had with people, especially on the print side, is where they dip their toes in first. And usually that entry point tends to be apparel. Just because it's not totally, if they are printing in-house, again, they're not, it's a product that they can wrap their head around because they use it all the time, they buy it all the time, they see it all the time, that makes sense. And if they are printing in-house, the idea of printing on apparel isn't totally foreign. It's typically screen printing or direct to film or direct to garments. So there's not a whole lot of new vocabulary they need to learn from a print background to this.
Yeah, great point. And just a related point to that as well. Regardless of what print medium you're working in, your clients are also buying promotional products from someone. They have a need for promo products. And as Brendan pointed out, promo products, we include that to mean branded apparel, decorated apparel, but then a whole range of hard goods as well. Anything from like mugs, other types of drinkware, tumblers, anything from a stress ball all the way up to technology gadgets, all different anything that you can brand can potentially be a promotional product, and your clients in the print world are already buying them from someone. So you have a captive audience, so to speak, and a ready-made client base that you could start selling to. You don't need to completely reinvent the wheel. So I think it's an important point.
Captive audience, and definitely think about your own buying experience. Anytime you can run one errand compared to 4 is going to be good. So your buyers, they want to go to one service provider who can do their print, they can do their promo, they can do their apparel, rather than having to have a bunch of plates spinning. Especially if these are going to the same place where you have a firm in-hand date. It might be tying to have the variables of, oh, well, my apparel guy's doing this, my guy's doing that, my pen guy's doing this. And they might all be arriving at different days, different times. That just creates a headache that I think a lot of people want to avoid.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brendan. Think of how streamlined that of a solution provider you become as a printer who can also offer promo, because now you can do all the print stuff that Brendan just pointed out, but you could also add the promotion products element into. So you capture more of spend overall, and you're a better resource for your clients, which makes it's going to make you stickier with them. They're not going to want to leave the more you can provide them.
And you guys already mentioned this a little bit, but obviously with coming from a printing side, there's already verbiage that they're familiar with. It's comfortable, it's recognizable. But in your guys' opinion, what are some of the challenges or hurdles that a printer could face trying to tap into this market, and how can they overcome that?
You want to take that one first, Brendan?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the first thing I think about is the competition size, just because the promo industry is very robust and the barrier to entry, especially anymore, is relatively low. When you look at things like people doing print on demand, apparel, or drinkware, they've instantly entered the market. They've gone around any gatekeepers keeping them out of this industry just through the means of buying a simple printer and a bunch of blanks. So that's one thing I think of first. Obviously, if you do the decorating in-house, managing how could be screen printers, it could be direct to garment printers, it could be, if they do direct to film, that's pretty easy. But either way, this is now just machinery that you need to manage, you need to upkeep, you need to have staff who can use them correctly. That's one thing I can think of.
Yeah, I'd say those are great points, Brendan. I'd say just adding to that, I think one of the things is as I alluded to earlier, so many thousands of products that are in the industry, and there's so many different suppliers that you could buy them from. So I think there's just a getting acquainted with what's the gamut of things that are on offer out there, and then starting to understand, okay, how might my client use these various products, and how can I consult that client on what the best promotional products for any given initiative might be. So that just takes some learning, right? Like you have to learn what's out there, talk to suppliers about how their products may be used in context and campaigns by like the end buyer and the end user. So I think just that there's that little bit of a learning startup to just get a handle on what's such a broad industry from a product standpoint. But that's a very achievable thing, because these suppliers are literally in your corner. They make money when you sell their stuff. So they are going to do everything they can, the good ones anyway, to teach you what you need to know to go sell their stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's so many people who are there to help because it behooves them to do that.
And for a wide format print service provider, how can they determine if it's maybe worth it for them to make products directly for their customer, or to make it for the suppliers who are then selling it onward to other clients?
You mean whether or not they would be manufacturing the promotional products themselves? That would be certainly above my pay grade as a writer. And when you're analyzing all of the cost of sourcing raw materials, and Chris, I'll let you take the brunt of this too, but the supply chain being the issue that it is, certainly something to look into. And Chris has done a ton of comprehensive reporting on this.
Yeah, I would say, generally, you're not going to make your own promotional product. Not to say that you can't, but generally the way that the supply chain, the promotional products industry works is you have these suppliers that have well-established relationships with actual manufacturers, typically overseas, and they're paying those manufacturers to build their product lines. So unless you wanted to really enter the promo products industry as a supplier who's going to build products and sell your line to distributors, you really it wouldn't make a lot of sense to start on the supplier side, given that there's this ready-made network of suppliers from which you can buy all the products you're gonna need. What some promotional products distributors do is they will establish relationships. This is a bit frowned upon in the industry, but it does happen. We're speaking realistically here. They will establish relationships with overseas manufacturers directly, and they will have custom orders built on like a here and there kind of basis. But generally, when we talk about a printer getting into the promotional products industry, that printer would be entering as what we would call a distributor, someone who's essentially selling the products that suppliers make. So you could, as a distributor, invest in decorating equipment, as Brendan mentioned, to screen print if you wanted to do that stuff in-house. So that's a bit of an investment if you want more control, but you don't even have to do that because there's decorators who can handle that for you. You basically sell it and manage the order.
Yeah, a metaphor that I would use is comparing it to automotive industry. You, on paper, could start a new car company, but it is a lot easier to open a car dealership. And that's really when I have conversations with print people who come over to promo. That's always what they're becoming a distributor, because I think the print model is a bit different. The print service provider, and they're selling to what in promo is referred to as the end buyer. This is the person, like let's call it a bank, who needs signage for an event. And then there's the end user, who is the person who might go and see the signage and leave with a branded pen. So there's a bit more hands in the promo industry. So the print service providers here are maybe doing the decorating, or maybe not. Like we said, it's totally possible to not do that. But I'll keep using this word, the barrier to entry for promo as a distributor is so much lower than it would be to become a supplier. Again, not to say you couldn't do it, but if you're talking about risks in business, that's a pretty risky move to make.
Yeah.
Of course. And guys, I'm also curious, should people entering this market from the print side, should they be concerned at all about all of the tariffs and everything that's happening? And is it something that
You just
an
said
eye
Chris's
on?
trigger word from this past week of recording.
Sorry, Chris. I know you've been doing a good work on it, so I thought I'd throw a question about it in there.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and no problem at all, because obviously it's one it has to be addressed, because it's not just even big for print and perm, it's big for the whole economy. It's big for trade across the world. So in a word, yes, there is points of concern, but it's not, I think, something that you have to be petrified about. It's essentially the upshot of the tariffs, if we were to put it most basically. If the tariffs stay in place as they are today, there's going to be price increases on imported products. And that includes promotional products. It's by no means limited to promotional products, but it's part of all things that are being imported, particularly from, say, like China, are going to get more expensive because importers are dealing with a significant cost jump to bring those products into the United States. So that would be the most fundamental issue that somebody coming into this industry would have to know about tariffs, is that's probably going to get a little pricier. It doesn't mean, though, that it's going to go from, hey, this cost $1 to now it costs $10. It's gonna be cents, most likely, on the dollar. I heard one range that on average you might be looking at increases of 4 to 8%, depending on the product line and what exactly happens. But still, that's not debilitating, and it's something that people across the economy are dealing with and seeing. So it's not like it's just promotional products that are getting tagged with it.
Yeah, of course. And I want to actually switch over to the e-commerce side a little bit. What role do you guys believe e-commerce plays in successfully selling promotional products for someone? Maybe their storefront isn't up to par, or they need to beef up their website a little bit. What role do you believe it plays?
I think it's increasingly more important. Again, these are conversations that I've been having at trade shows and seeing interviews we've done. There's company stores where a business might have things for their employees. They either cash in points from being there for a certain time period, or like any sort of reward system where you go in and get brand apparel, drinkware products, like that. And then, so there's the print on demand, where if one of the risks of joining the industry is that you decide to print t-shirts, you buy X amount of t-shirts and only sell Y amount. So you have a bunch of dead stock in your warehouse or worse, the small office space or your home that you're operating out of. Uh, Something like this e-commerce where you can print, let's say you sell 10 shirts, you only print 10 shirts. There's no waste. There's no, and especially increasingly eco-conscious world, that's huge. So I think e-commerce plays a huge role.
Yeah. I'll even pull the camera back a little wider just to give people a sense of what like e-commerce looks like in promo. There's e-commerce in the sense that we maybe think of it as like a retailer where, hey, I'm a distributor and I have a website where anybody can come and can buy promotional products. That exists, of course. It's a little bit less common though than I'd say another kind of e-commerce. And that kind of e-commerce is what Brendan alluded to, where he talked about web stores where, hey, I am a distributor and my client is XYZ Corporation, and I can now have built for them a web store where people, where from their company or their clients or whoever their target audience might be, can go and either redeem promo items for free or buy them from that site. I think that level of e-commerce, the web store that Brendan alluded to, is very important. Clients are very much looking to have that done. Again, the good news is that you don't have to be an expert in web store building to do this. There are companies, and I'm not trying to make this an ASI commercial, but ASI does offer web stores and things of that nature, and there are others out there too, to be fair, who do that. So you can partner with these organizations to have web stores built for your clients. But bottom line, yes, e-commerce is of increasing importance.
Of course. And how do you believe that printers can leverage their own client base to then promote their own promotional products, or the fact that they're offering them? How can they go about that? Is it newsletter blasts? Is it social media? Is it all of the above?
Yeah, all the above. Anytime you can get the word out, and just because there are so many ways for people and businesses to get the word out, post it on all of your social media, do an email blast, especially if you're in like direct, you probably have pretty solid data of your audience. Use that to your advantage. And just when you're talking to people we've done these series, these Convergence Corner series, there are so many times where a client will come to them for print and be like, maybe even just make an offhand reference. Yeah, I really need pens too. They're like, yeah, we do that. We can do that. We do that too. Just tell them, hey, by the way, if because as Chris said, these people are buying promo too. They're buying it from someone. So if you can get out in front and be like, by the way, if you're in the market for this product, we do that. So when you come to us and you need print, keep that in mind. And again, no one wants to run multiple. They come and say, oh, I need t-shirts, I need water bottles. Sure, if you can do that, great.
Yeah, I think Brendan nailed it. I think it's, Gabby, to answer your question, it's all of the above. You can take like a very conscious formal marketing approach, marketing through your various channels to your existing customers. And then it's also just a matter of on each order, if it's you or your salespeople, you're saying, hey, what else do you need for this initiative? Are you looking to do any merch or promotional products with this? Oh, okay. Like, Brendan, you need pens for that. I could get you pens. Did you think about mugs? I could get you mugs or t-shirts, but whatever it might be that fits in that promo product, it could be as simple as that conversation on each sales trend. Hey, what else are you doing on this? And do you need promo for it? Because I can get you.
And you can use the print expertise you already have too. Let's say they're delivering an order in print. Use a little business card, use a little flyer, use a little printed insert in whatever they're sending their clients. Make that an advertisement. Like, hey, by the way, we do this and that now too. Call us, and that's as simple as the word out immediately.
The one thing I'll add to, and Brendan, you saying this reminded me to say this. A really cool way to do it, if you want to make a kind of a splash, if you're like really confident that you're ready to go, is you could even do a self-promotion that would combine like a nice kitted package that combines some of the print, like cool print elements, like a real nice like custom box, put in like a note that says that you do promo, and then include certain like promo items that you think like these clients might be interested in. There's certain ubiquitous things that everybody buys, tumblers and t-shirts and things of that nature. Throw a few of them in there with some nice pens. And it's, hey, we could do this for you. Doesn't this look cool? Like, we could do this for you on initiatives you may be working on.
It's a proof of concept.
Yep.
And you touched on kitting, and I know kitting is like a huge trend in promo. What are some other trends in promo that printers can look out for to follow in those footsteps and successfully build their promo lineup?
I think I touched on one was the direct to film printing and print on demand. Been huge. I've seen that at Printing United Expo that where once I might have seen a lot more screen printing, I'm seeing a lot of direct to film because print on demand is so huge.
Yeah. That's great. I think if there was one overarching trend, I'd say that's increasingly coming into play in the promo world, it's this focus on sustainability, which is something that we're seeing like in a lot of different markets, not just promo, but there is a concerted effort to make products in a way in which the production of them has less impact on the planet, and then to use materials that are more quote planet friendly, like recycled materials or organic material, natural material, things of that nature. So that is like a very big trend. I wouldn't even call it a trend. I'd call it like a
The
movement.
changing way of life. It's
Yeah,
a changing
like
buyer
a
habit.
fundamental change. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it implies it might go away. I don't think it's going away. I think just the nature of the world, that's going to stay. So I think sustainability is a huge one. And with that, you want to find suppliers to work with that can back up their sustainability claims about their products. And when you have that and you can talk about these things with end clients, I think it's a strong selling point.
And how can printers, if maybe who are going through a third party or having someone else print their promotional products for them, how can they vet that to make sure that they are sustainable, that they are like, what should they look out for? What can they do? What resources do they have?
Number one thing is to just ask that if you really want verification, is just to ask the supplier, what certifications do you have of this that you could show me that this product content that you claim is 80% recycled? Can you show me like proof of that? Or like, where's the verifications on this? There's also certain suppliers that they've earned certifications like B Corp status and things of that nature, or they've had their supply chains quote verified in some way. And you could ask for documentation that shows that. And if they're legit in this, like they will usually are happy to provide it because
Anyone who's done the amount of work that it takes to do this will not hide it. If you ask for the receipts, they'll be all too happy to show them.
And guys, in your humble opinions, as we move into more competitive markets and everything like that, do you think it's enough to just be a wide format print service provider, or do you need to start considering apparel, hard goods? Should they have looked into this market yesterday, so to speak, if they haven't already?
I think it depends on your goals. I think you can eke out a tidy living as just doing wide format. But if you want to grow in this current market, if you want to scale, then yeah, the best time to do that would have been yesterday. The second best time is right now, for sure.
Yeah, I would say along similar lines. I don't want to be so dramatic as to say, boy, if you don't go in the promo products business, you're going to be going out of business in a year. I don't think it's that dramatic. But with the trend toward everything in society, right? Because of just how consumers consume and shop now, is to have things consolidated. People want as much as they can get at their fingertips, right in front of them on their computer, right? And the more that you can provide what I would call like a related selection of solutions, and I think print and promo are a related selection of solutions to clients, the stronger partner you can become to those clients, and you'll increase your revenue because you're selling a whole other medium, and then you make yourself, as I say, I guess I'm being a bit redundant, just more valuable to that client. Yeah.
And where do you guys see the future of these two industries merging, say 5 or 10 years down the line?
That's a really good question. I think you're going to see a lot more companies that really are that full service provider, and that extends to other aspects of the buying process, like warehousing and logistics. It really is going to be that buyers want placing an order and then they want to hands off. They want to know when it's coming, and that's about it, because they don't have the bandwidth to think about too many other variables. So I think you are going to see a lot more printers become promo distributors and really embrace that full service provider model.
Yep. Brendan, I think took the words out of my mouth. I think that there's a desire among buyers to have everything consolidated and streamlined to the extent possible. And I think that there are companies that are promo first that are doing more with print because they see that as a place that they can grow sales and a valuable medium. And I think you're going to see more printers wanting to do more with promo. And we're already starting to see that because they can just, as I say, you can make more money and you can be a better partner to your clients by providing more.
Absolutely. Guys, that was about all my questions. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
Of
you.
course, thanks for having us.
You've been listening to the Wide Format Impressions broadcast. You can find more great content at wideformatimpressions.com.